Hey gang, welcome to another episode of... I'm not exactly sure what this is. It's not Vital Vinyl since I'm not talking about my albums because I don't have any of this band's records, but I have been streaming them. It's not Vintage Newbie where I talk about vintage stereo equipment, though I have been streaming their album through my vintage stereo equipment. Whose album? Who's this band that I'm talking about? We'll get to that in just a minute. But first, a little bit of shameless self-promotion. A week from today, on October 11th, the cover that I drew for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Halloween special, Cover C, will be hitting stores. What's it look like? Well, here you go. Alright, well, enough about me. This, like I said, is sort of an in-between episode of Vital Vinyl and the Vintage Newbie because I wanted to talk about a band that I really, really like. So having gotten back into records and stereo equipment in the past year or two, I've actually been branching out and listening to newer music for the first time in like 15 years. Most of the stuff that I've been listening to is either stuff that I had when I was younger or new releases by old bands that I've been into for like 20 or 30 years. But not a whole lot of newer stuff has come my way. Being in your late 40s, you're not exactly a little scene kid anymore. But I kind of have gotten into some bands here and there that I've talked about. One, which I haven't talked about, but that I should talk about, is this band Joystick. They're a kind of ska punk band from here in New Orleans for the most part. I gotta get into them. I have talked about the Beths, who are a great band from New Zealand and who I got to see in concert and brought my kid to this summer when we and the missus went to Florida. But this is another band. A band that I saw this past weekend. There was a band playing, Melvins, who I have been a fan of since their Ozma album came out. I saw them for the first time back in 1990, I believe, when I was just a 15-year-old little punk rock skater kid. I was blown away by the record. I was blown away by their performance. I remember sitting outside of the place with my friends by the fountain, and like Buzz was just standing there, maybe 20 feet away, just leaning up against the post, looking up at the sky like this. And it was like 10 o'clock at night, and he's just staring up into space. But they were a great band. They blew me away, and I've seen them many, many times over the years, both in like not only at small clubs, but also like when they opened up for Kiss. Sometimes they would, if they were playing a show at night, they'd play like an earlier set at a record store. They did that like twice here during the 90s, so that was really cool. But it had been about 10 or 11 years since the last time I saw them, and so I wanted to go see them. This was like the first time I was going to see them with their current bass player, Steve McDonald from Red Cross. I'm a big Red Cross fan. Sort of saw them once. They were playing in a place during a musical festival. I couldn't get in, but I was able to like look in and see Jeff and Steve McDonald playing their music, so that was really cool. And I was going to the show. There was an opening band that I hadn't heard of, so I wasn't really in any rush to get there. But then whenever I did, I was pretty much almost instantly mad that I missed the first 10 minutes of their set. And that is the band we're here to talk about tonight. That is the band that you can no longer see on the screen up there because my old phone has timed out, because that's what I stream music through. But I do have something of theirs, because I do not have any of their records because they were sold out of records at the show. It's a band called Mr. Phylzzz. That's how you pronounce it, even though it's spelled Phyllzz. Whenever I heard the name of their band, when either they would say it or other folks would say it, I thought it was because it's spelled like it would be Mr. Phylzzz or Mr. Files or something like that. And then I hear like Mr. Phylzzz, and I was like, oh, is it just Phylzzz and the L is silent like palm or calm? Maybe so, but I will tell you, these guys are not calm, and they are certainly not palm, whatever that means, but it is pronounced flies. Like fly. Zzz. And that is a shirt from their new album, Fat Chance, which was also what was on the screen up there before my phone timed out. Don't believe me? Pew! Well, looky here, ladies and gentlemen. There it is. See? Yeah. So these guys were kicking all sorts of ass. There was a lot of people. I mean, Melvin's always draw a big crowd. Don't think I've ever seen like an almost less than packed house since the first time I saw them, and this night was no different. The show sold out eventually. Like, they were still selling some tickets at the door whenever I got there. You don't care about any of this, whatever. Let's get to these guys. Everybody was blown away. People that I knew, like, after their set, were talking about them. People that I didn't know, you could overhear it. And, like, everyone was just like, oh, my God, who are those guys? And it's just these two guys. Singer and a guitarist. One guy. What's his name? Curtis. Then Danny, I believe, is the drummer. And that's it. Just those two. And it's just simple. Just dun-dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun, just fucking pounding, driving rock and roll. Just, I don't know. Everybody was just going nuts, just loving these guys, going nuts after each set. Like, they fucking crushed it. And yeah. And the Melvins came on afterwards. They were great, of course. And Melvins weren't the headliners. The headliners were this other band, Boris, who I did not really see, but I did get to hear because I was outside after the Melvins played and ended up just seeing a bunch of people. Crazy night. But I was right outside the club, so I could still hear Boris playing. And they sounded cool, and they even did a cover of Boris, the song by the Melvins, at the end of their set. So that was pretty awesome. But after the show, as I'm walking to my car, I was parked like about 5-6 blocks away. Saw some other friends at a house like further down, but about a block away from my car, I see the singer, I see the drummer of Mr. Phylzzz, and someone else that they were with, that he had a lanyard with a badge, so I guess he was part of the crew. They were walking towards me, going back to the club. Stopped, talked to him for like a minute. You know, it was like, you guys kick ass. They were so nice, so cool, just great guys. And so I'm walking back to my car, and I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going back there. Because, all right, well, a little bit of a rewind. Before that, after the Melvins played, or maybe it was after Mr. Phylzzz played, sometime earlier in the evening, I went up to where everyone was selling their merch, and Melvins and Mr. Phylzzz had tables right next to each other. Boris had a table on the other side. And I was going to go get a Melvins shirt because I don't really have any anymore after Hurricane Katrina came and washed them all away. And they had a updated Bullhead shirt because they were doing like a bunch of songs off of that album. And I was like, all right, cool. I had the original shirt, the white one with the fruit basket on it, Melvins, Bullhead. But they didn't take cards. Come on, Melvins. It's 2023. Take a card. Not everyone's walking around with cash nowadays. So I didn't get it. And then like I looked over and I was like, yeah, these Mr. Flies guys were really good. They were out of albums, so couldn't buy any, which is why I'm streaming them now. So you do the same, and so that, you know, listen to 1,000 streams and maybe they'll get a penny. But for real, spread the word about these guys and fucking just stream them if you're not going to buy their records. And maybe if you spread the word to enough of their friends or enough of your friends, then they'll get some money. Because like these guys are working hard, they are playing hard, their shows are amazing, their albums are great, and their live shows just kick ass. But anywho, so they had the shirt that I just showed you, but they only had size extra large and up, and I'm a large. But yeah, I can pull an extra large because I'm slightly chubby. And I was like, fuck it, man. These guys, they put on a great show. They're just on the road, just tearing it up. And, you know, and they were like super cool. They were like super, super cool afterwards whenever I met them on the walk to the car. So, got a shirt. So, go on, buy the merchandise. And when I talked to them, I was like, yeah, y'all are out of records. And they're like, yeah. But we're going to be pressing some more. And I'm like, all right, are y'all on any streaming services? And they're like, we're on all of them. And I'm like, okay, cool. Because I normally do Amazon Music, but I've currently got a 3-month thing of Apple Music. They're on both of those. They've got all of their albums, all of their EPs, which I think they only have 1 or 2 EPs, and like 2, maybe 3 full-length albums, and like 2 singles. But they're also on YouTube if you don't have a streaming service. Their full albums are on YouTube. And they have some videos for some of their songs that are on YouTube. And I'll put a link to those below because they're just really great. Like, these guys, they're just doing all the right things. I love them. They might be a little hard and heavy for some of you. But if you like the Melvins... or if you like Melvins, if you like Melvins, I think you'll like these guys. I don't want to compare them to other bands because, for one thing, as artists, they want to be themselves. They don't want to be like, oh, they're like this or like that. And plus, like, if you compare them to other bands, then people who don't like those bands be like, oh, I don't like that band, so I'm not going to listen to them. Or people that are hardcore into those bands that you like. I'll just say, and not that they are, but if I'm like, oh, they kind of sound like Ozzy. Well, people that don't like Ozzy will be like, oh, I'm not going to listen to them because I don't really like Ozzy. And then they're missing out on a great band. Or if someone's like a hardcore Ozzy fan, they're like, nah, these guys don't sound, they do a little bit, but not nothing like it. So fuck that. So yeah, they're their own guys. But yeah, if you like Melvins, I think you will like these guys. God, I'm trying to think of just what kind of just hard, heavy hitting, riffy beats, kind of some Helmet style, kind of some White Stripes style, which I really want to avoid because that's like another 2-piece band and I'm sure they get compared to them a lot and I don't want to do that. But yeah, just hard, heavy, driving, kick-ass rock and roll. If you see them coming to your town, go check them out. If you don't, but you see them on your favorite streaming service, if you see them on YouTube, you're here right now, just click over there or there or there or somewhere, and yeah, give them a shot. Quite a few of their videos that I saw inevitably had comments of, I just saw these guys with the Melvins and they kicked ass and now I love them, or I didn't know about these guys until a week ago and now they're one of my favorite bands. Like it's just like every time I saw that I was like, yep, me too. So go check them out. You'll be glad you did. I'll be glad you did, and they'll be glad you did. Okay. If you like this kind of rambling, and why would you, and you feel like hearing me talk about other bands, I wasn't going to pull out all my Melvins records to show you, but here's some, since I talked about them, since I showed you other stuff. If you like hearing me talk about music and bands, then go check out Vital Vinyl. If you want to see this same kind of nonsensical, unscripted, unedited rambling applied to 70s music equipment, check out La Vintage Noe Ba 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 Pa. Also on here. Links around somewhere as well. Okay, that's it for now. I need to do one of these on joystick because I'm friends with a couple of guys in the band, and I wasn't before until I came across their music, and they'd show up at comic conventions that I was at, and there's really cool guys, and they make great music too. But this isn't about them. This is about Mr. Phylzzz. So go check them out. They're on Amphetamine Reptile Records. Just like Melvins were, just like Melvins are now. So was Helios Creed back in the day. I think Helmet was as well. God, I don't know. I remember a bunch of bands that I used to listen to back in the 90s were on Amphetamine Reptile. So it's a good label. Good bands. These guys are among them. See? I'm going to stop this now. You've probably all turned it off anyway. But if you haven't, go check them out. Have a blessed day. Oh. I didn't even talk about any of their music. Well, fuck it. Go listen to their music. But. So one thing I forgot to mention is on one of their albums, it might have been their first EP, but I don't think it was. I think it was their second to last album, Cancel Culture Club. Yes, I believe that's the album. They have a cover of, just when you thought you were getting out of this, they have a cover of Daddy Wasn't There. I was driving around listening to this album, and I hear the song, and I'm like, I know this song. What was this, like fucking Everclear or something? Daddy wasn't there to change my underwear. I'm like, I know this song, and I was like, no, it's not Everclear. That was Father of Mine. Ticket. And so I looked it up eventually, and it was from Ming T. Remember them? Maybe you don't. They were the band fronted by Austin Powers from Goldmember. From that movie. They covered an Austin Powers made-up band song about his father, Michael Caine, from that movie. They're a fucking Austin Powers cover band, or at least in one song. That's just, dude, you gotta love it. But anyway, go check out their new album, Fat Chance. Go check out their previous album, Cancel Culture Club. What else? They have another, I think their first EP was called Sounds Like Everyone Else. Then they had another one, Penitent something or other. Penitent Curtis. Yeah, and then they have another EP. It's like a live EP called Real Life Suicide. But don't worry, it's not a real live suicide. It's just a live album. But they don't have like you can't even hear the crowd. They've kind of filtered that out. So it could almost sound like just an echoey studio album. But those songs are on either Penitent Curtis or on Sounds Like Everyone Else. So yeah. Now we've come to the end of this again. So good night. Have a blessed day. Mwah, mwah. Key.